Hey guys, we're live with this Q&A. Obviously we're just in the audience waiting for it to start. It's supposed to start in about 3 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and mute my audio input, or my mic input, so you don't hear any clicking.
All right. Can anybody hear me? Hello, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello.
All right. Author, I don't think anyone can hear you.
That might be part of the problem. Is Arthur here?
You should be.
Okay.
You just DM'd me like a minute ago. So.
I didn't know if we were waiting for more or if
Aren't
we're kicking it off.
waiting for Tashi?
I don't know if Tashi's actually coming or not. Maybe Arthur does, though.
Yeah, I haven't got any word from Tosh.
Yeah, staying. I mean, that's what I got told. So.
Okay. I have not heard, so. But I will ping him.
Hello, hello.
Yep.
There you
hear?
go.
Hello.
Oh my god, I don't know what happened there. I just left the stage and joined. Okay, so now we can start. Tashi should be here in a moment. He told me he was going to be here, but meanwhile we can start rolling this out. Again, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We made this space for Hello Studios seek and deploy extraction map design question and answer. So you forgers, contestants that are going to participate in the contest, can solve some of the questions that you have around the new game mode and what the CIT is looking for on your designs, like what the experience they are looking for to, so you can nail that on the design. So feel free to write any of your questions on the chat, and the team will be able to answer them. And thank you for joining us, also Clutch and Town. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the first question from Timmy. I mean, a lot of questions actually. For an extension, is there a space for an extension? I don't think so actually. So,
That's mostly a Tachi question, but from my understanding, no. There isn't a time for extension. Just with how they want to launch the playlist and the future of it. So.
yeah.
Right there.
Or well, maybe we are not a lot of people, so maybe we can actually just bring people here to actually do the question like Ocon says. So we're going for Timmy first. If you want to join us also on chat, you can ask for. Excellent. Yeah. All right.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, apologies. I was just kind of this list is not necessarily my list. List is summarized from discussions I've had with a whole bunch of forgers, so it kind of runs the gamut of topics. So forgive me for dumping it all at once. On timeline, I know there was some talk about, Atashi said in the intro discussion with, I think it was LVT, that there was potentially some room for polish after the deadline. I'm just trying to get a sense, because you mentioned it sounds like there's an internal kind of date that you're trying to hit to get it out, with QA being in there as well. I mean, is there any more clarity you can give on timeline? Obviously, we want to get as much done in the 2 months as we can, but is it disqualifying if there's a little bit of art missing here and there, and because typically, sorry to
No, you're fine.
Typically with Forgehub, you don't get a chance to touch your files after the deadline, and what you submit is what you submit, and it's considered, yeah. So that would be the first question.
Sal, back me up if you remember this or not, but I do think I recall touching on your second point, and kind of point one at the same time, that it was more gameplay focused, rather than like the art being complete for the competition. I think that there would still be a window of time to polish the art. I think that I can recall a conversation, but that is something I would always lean on Tashi for the official answer.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for Tosh, but I would say it would have to be probably mostly arted. But like you said, if there's like some areas that are not completely polished, I'm sure if it's like gameplay complete and playing very well, I'm sure there's a little wiggle room.
Yeah, to be clear, I don't mean to submit blockouts. What I'm saying is just that typically with Forgehub contests, we're not allowed to touch the files afterwards. And so this being a kind of a new, maybe a bit of an experiment, a bit of a collaboration here. Just trying to gauge, like, if it's, 90% complete, but we want to polish some stuff that won't change how the map flows or plays, but just comes down to polish, essentially. How much
100%.
wiggle room is there?
A good follow-up question for Tosh, for sure, that we can get an answer to. We might not have it on hand today, but okay. I can make a follow-up list for the big guy. That's kind of more in charge of those things. So
yeah, and I don't want to hog the speaker queue because, like I said, this is kind of a summary of what I've been hearing, but I can keep running through these questions unless somebody else wants to jump in.
I could tell you real quick, anything art related, I would say just wait for Tosh. That's like your question number 2 and 3, I would say that's Tashi related, cool. So we can't give you an answer on that.
Well, let me jump to some more gameplay focused stuff. This is probably more of an artifice question, but like, is there any kind of date that we might be able to actually experience the economy side of things or have a demo map? We've been throwing it on like Livefire and some dev maps just to kind of give a feel for it, but even with the mode that we have now, I believe there's a bug where the 1 minute timer doesn't work for arming the bomb, so technically it just runs for the rest of the round. So just any kind of sense of timeline where there's folks that are feeling like, hey, I don't really know how to learn this experience in the Halo context. Obviously, we can look at other games, but yeah, any kind of clarity you can give on that would be amazing.
Bus, you got any clarity on that one?
Unfortunately, those are all kept with Tosh and like his main perspective of all of it. I'm not quite sure if there's plans to release it before it goes out. But another one that we can definitely bring back to him.
Okay. Until then, I think we'll probably hack together some type of like, after the second or third round, we'll just randomly introduce weapons to see how it feels, because we're gonna have to kind of hack around some of this stuff to get a better sense for how the.
Yeah, it makes sense, and I understand the want. I don't know what the I would be ignorant to the reasons why it's being kept close to the chest up until launch, rather.
Yeah, cool. Because
I
like
hear
even like
that.
a blockout, like if you could let Mick publish the blockout without art, that would be amazing. But that's just, I guess you can run that up the chain, so to speak. We're in like all of this is kind of new territory, so just trying to understand what the possibilities are.
Okay.
And then a couple folks had questions about verticality. To me, this I think your answer will be that to keep it less vertical, which is what was said in the LVT conversation. But I do wonder how much, given verticality is kind of the unique aspect of Halo, in my opinion, and other people's opinions, like how much room there is for well-designed verticality that might, and this is probably just going to come down to like if we can pull it off or not. But if you had any thoughts about verticality, or like
Yeah,
if
I
there's
can
any
give you
learnings,
examples.
go ahead. Okay.
So, like, for example, like what is too much is like, think about like midship or truth. Like P3 to bottom end, like that's too much verticality in a mode like this. Trying to think of like a good verticality, like maybe like live fire top tower to top mid, like that's not too high. But yeah, just anything that's I would say anything higher than that is just like too much, where a player has to like enter a site and then expecting them to have crosshair placement that high is just in a mode like this when you could buy equipment and grenades and stuff, like it's just pretty unfair.
Right. I think I would answer that by breaking down like a situation, given a map where it's a one-on-one and the bomb is down, like to Sal's point. And we don't want you to be able to play from like you're on offense, so it's your device, and the player not only has to like kill you but defuse the bomb. Reaching that level of verticality, however you have to get there, making that an actual practical like opportunity for the player, rather than like a 20-second route or something that he's at a like near enough of a significant advantage or disadvantage to being able to like eliminate that player, and where that player can kind of just like peek over the ledge, like check the bomb, you're not on it, then just go back to hiding. We want to avoid that kind of level of cheesiness and difficultiness on like a retake situation. If that helps.
That does help. There's a kind of a follow-up question, because we're having to design around both repulse and grapple, and so there's some definite verticality questions in that regard as well, because designing for grapple is you either design for it or you ignore it. There's very different rules that you have to follow with the grapple. But then there's also a question I had, because you can design one-way routes essentially, where you could drop down a hole into a floor that you wouldn't be able to grapple back up, but you might be able to repulse back up. Is that something you guys have an opinion on?
So to go back a little bit from your question, designing around grapple and repulse, I would say, in my opinion, like try to keep it kind of away from the site itself, but like anything leading up to the site or like middle of the map, I think that's fair game. But like the site itself, you just don't want post-pun scenarios where you could only get to the guy or chase the guy from repulsing or grappling in a scenario.
I think if you are going to complement that, if you are going to have places like that you can potentially grapple or repulse to, have it to be where those players aren't like able to back down under cover in those areas, so that if they get shot from that area, they're forced to either drop or like stay in the fight, rather than like something that they can like stay safe, get their shield back, and then repeak it. For example, like a window, or something. I think like things like that are interesting and allow you to purchase some utility to create new route opportunities, which is like I think is cool. But I don't think you want to see someone like not be able to deal with the player that's in those new routes, and that those players are able to like stay up there for free, and it's it's near impossible to kill them, I would say. Does that help?
It does. I'm also gonna hop down, so I'm not hogging the stage if other folks have questions.
Right. Thank you, Timmy. Right, Occam, you're next.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, I
Hello.
have a few questions about the mode, since this mode is like a Halo only thing, or like Halo's new thing. The map design we can get from other games pretty much, but this mode is completely new. So, why isn't the full SnD extraction mode released? It's difficult to design for a mode that is completely foreign to Halo, and having no full mode results in forgers having to design their map based on scraps of information about how the mode is supposed to function. Having no working buy system means you can't derive how the map actually plays with the economy, which is a big part of the map design.
No, I
Yeah,
hear
like-
your frustration, and like we said earlier, I understand that that's a difficult part of the equation for all forgers involved. The whys are what Tashi's going to have to answer. I think that there's a want to keep it close to the chest and release it as a larger product. So we can get an answer for you, but right now that's not really Sal or I's position to answer.
Yeah, guys, just for everyone to be aware, all these decisions that are related to the game mode, to the map, is between Tashi and the Forger, so he's the one that might be able to answer these questions. But for this Q&A, the team is going to be around gameplay, how the players are going to be able to play on your maps. So if you have questions about verticality like Timmy did and all that stuff, Clutch and Town will be able to answer them.
Okay. Well, all of my questions are pretty much about the mode, since that is the biggest issue that I see with this whole contest, where players cannot really design accurately for the mode if there's no mode available. But if there's no person to answer these questions in the Q&A, then I guess I have no more questions.
All right, thank you, Occam. For example, Total Legend just is asking, will streets as reference be a good limit to verticality?
I guess I would ask, what part of streets are you thinking? Like, where the top stalker used to be, or?
If I had to guess, most probably.
Yeah, I would say that's not too high up for gameplay purpose.
Yeah, I think streets verticality is a good thought to stay in the ballpark of, for sure. I think even like with our testing of the map that we have, it's it even goes a little above streets, but I think streets its verticalities is fine.
I got a question myself, though. With it also being Halo 3 and either inspired by campaign or multiplayer maps, like, for example, would you say on high ground, on top Spartan Laser Tower from just below, would that be technically too high to you guys' standards? Because, I mean, you got to think about it too. A lot of these maps from the campaign of Halo 3 or even the multiplayer maps do have some high verticality to it.
Yes,
Yeah,
and I think
yeah.
I'll go
Go
real
ahead.
quick. I think right now, like when we're speaking of verticality, like the routes to getting to that verticality, the routes leaving that verticality, how open is this player? Like when I think of nest on high ground, I think of like I have to go in this base to go around to be able to get up there. But the level of verticality, like that nest is above the ground below it, I think is fine. It's how do players overcome a player in that situation? That is the headspace that is probably how you design around it.
Would you consider something like of epitaph verticality of the map too high, or even, for example, like a campaign map, like the mission, the Ark, when you're inside the Citadel towers and such, especially also too with the mission of the Covenant, because it's kind of just copy paste. Those missions are kind of the same as Citadel in terms of route, but it's just a tad bit higher than the actual matchmaking map Citadel. So would you consider like Epitaph or any inspiration of Citadel from the campaign as well too high, or no?
Citadel, I don't think it's too high, but your question about Halo 3, I think I could be wrong here, but I think a Halo 3 theme is mostly just supposed to be for the art aspect and then not gameplay though. So like yeah, you could like take pieces from the campaign, but I don't think like verticality part like doesn't really need to line up with like you could take epitaph theme and like inspiration, but like you don't have to copy the exact verticality it had.
Yeah, I think just the style of art that's being used on the maps is what the Halo 3 theme is referencing.
Mm. See, we have some more questions
yeah.
in the text chat.
For plant zones, this is a good topic. So since this is like a SnD type mode, my one concern would be like trying to think too deeply about other games like Valorant, for example. Typically their zones are like you could see the site from pretty far away, like across the map, basically, and that is a big no-no for me in Halo because of like our kill times and shield story. So if you think about like a one-on-one scenario, like post plant, if someone gets the bomb down and they just play across the map, like you just can never kill the guy, and he could just keep jiggle peeking or getting info, and then you force that player to have to sprint like across the map basically to go finish that guy to be able to extract. So when we think sites, I would recommend thinking more forcing players to actually commit to checking if they're on it, keeping it more like close to mid range versus long range in terms of line of sight to the actual zone itself.
Right. I would always keep in mind, Sal said like kill times. I would always keep in mind like with the timer going down, how long does it take in Halo? This player is going to have to push this other player to take him down. So how long is it going to take to push that player and then come back to the bomb or the extraction and defuse it? And I think like we've seen success through making like that clear separation of like you're kind of on site or you're in one of the lanes that go to the site.
I think Oakham had another question as well.
Yep. Are soft kills allowed on the maps designed for SnD extraction?
What do you mean by soft kills?
Soft kill volumes. When you enter a soft kill volume, you get the 10-second countdown.
We haven't seen it, so I don't want to say it's not allowed, but I don't see that. I would try not to use them, like from a personal perspective, I think like you get dangerous with areas, but it could be interesting. That's not something that we've like has been a part of our testing, so
Okay.
we don't see a lot of that in like the ranked experience a ton either. So
Yeah, I would
it
I
could
would
be
probably
interesting.
push away from that just because we're trying to align with like the rest of the rank experience as much as possible, like one to one. And like Wes was saying, we don't really see that anywhere else. And also, when you say like the soft timer, 10-second timer, that whenever I think about that, I only think about like it's used in like high verticality scenarios. So I'm not sure if you had other plans though, like if like what how would you use that besides like on top of the map, you know what I mean?
Okay, because the SnD extraction mode seems to rely on using the objective banner UI at the bottom of the screen to display the amount of credits, and currently there is a bug present in the game which disables the visibility of this objective banner UI if a player enters and exits a soft kill volume. So, since soft kills would be allowed on the map, are there plans to fix this bug?
That's a good question.
Can you type that question out and I can
Yeah.
I can reference it in a different conversation with some of our designers to where maybe there can be an answer for it. But in the meantime, I would say kind of staying cautious of that bug. And right now, I would assume not having heard of it to this point, I'm not sure what the plan on is to fix it. So maybe it's best we stay away.
Okay.
And I can come
Thanks.
back with a better, more official answer for you.
All right. And then one more, since Tashi is the contact person to ask all of these questions about the mode, when and where can we expect these answers from Tashi?
I will talk to Tosh and we can get the answers as soon as possible. I don't want to give you a date that I can't align with, but I'm hoping to have those fairly quickly for you. And then where I will speak to Arthur about that. And
we'll make sure to get the information and get it passed through the community.
Whatever makes the most sense to give you guys the visibility of it.
Okay, thanks.
That Joe Valiant and Total Legend had 2 questions in chat, and I'm also going to bring up examples to the stage while you guys read that.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say the same. Yeah, Total Legend has a nice question about if the if the buyback mechanic with the player spawning the bag at their home base or on top of another player, and if we should. Wait, what? And if we should use blockers, I mean, the enemy team shouldn't be allowed to enter the home base of the buybackers. Whoever's buyback the player.
I saw Joe Valiant was asking about sight lines longer than the Bandit Evo's red reticle too long, and referencing the trailer as well.
Okay, so for the buyback question, you spawn back to the side you spawned on that round.
The initial spawn, or just like a spawn that's on the map?
Your initial spawn.
Initial spawn, but every round that round.
And is there a team blocker or no to prevent like people just camping out the buy back option? Is there a team blocker or no to prevent people just camping out?
Well, typically you won't really see that, but if you do, that's just part of the game. But because the initial spawn is pretty far away from the sites itself. Yeah, but if you do, that's just part of the game. But so typically when you die, you're on site, and then if you decide to buy back, you're all the way back in your spawn. So typically when you die, you're on
Exampling,
site,
you're echoing, by the way.
decide to buy back.
Yeah, I think from what we've seen on the map that we have, yes, someone can be there, but traditionally it's a longer route, and your buyback experience is only within 5 seconds of your death. So you kind of get to make the judgment call of like, should you or not, should you take the risk as a player.
Okay.
And as long as they're isolated from like sight lines of like traditional routes, like that would be a very long route to be taking. We don't see it very problematic.
Okay, and I guess Joe Valley was asking about sight lines being longer than the Bandit Evo's red reticle.
I think it can extend the Bandit's red reticle, but I think when you're thinking of sight lines for the bomb sites themselves, especially like, it's probably, you probably want to keep it a little bit outside red reticle is the max range. Maybe like, I wouldn't go like extreme far, but where the Bandit's useful, yeah, that's like a good headspace to be in, I think. What would you say, Sal?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Examples? Did you fix your mic? You're echoing, or
Would you
I know
good?
you had a question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's good or not.
Yeah, not sure.
I guess we'll just wait for examples. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, not sure.
Yeah, my mic is echoing.
Okay. You had a question though?
Yeah, my mic is echoing. You know what? I can't ask it while this echo is happening. Sorry.
So
You
you
can
can
write
just
it in
type your
text.
question, and we can
Yeah.
just answer it.
You know what? I can't ask it while this echo.
I think Oak had another question for Sage, and there's a couple more also in text chat.
Are dynamic objects allowed on the maps? I'll just answer that real quick. With dynamic elements, we've seen a lot of performance issues on the rank side, whether it be frames dropping, whether it be a lot of the dynamic elements we've seen throughout most of Infinite's maps causes performance issues. So we definitely want to limit the amount of performance issues that the maps are having, especially knowing it's never perfect, and there's always usually areas that we run into. I would probably try to stay away from dynamic elements personally, but I would say at your own risk in that sense.
Yeah, I would agree with that with like any like I guess carryable stuff. Like maybe if like a like you could open a door or something, I'm okay with that type of stuff. But like random boxes being dynamic and stuff, I don't know if that's a good idea performance wise for like a ranked experience. But like if anyone's familiar with like Valorant, how they have like a switch you could click to open a door to make another entrance or something like that's fine. But
Mokum, you had a question?
Yep. How does the item purchasing work at the start of the round? How can players select between the options, and how does selecting an item work in the menu?
okay, so there's a pre-round timer before every round starts. It's like 30 seconds or whatever. And you get to navigate through the menu with either your joystick if you're on controller, or your movement is A, D on keyboard. And you navigate through like starting weapons like base weapons, power weapon, equipment, grenades. And then you click one category. So for example, you click the equipment category, then another drop down pops open, and you have options between like grapple or repulse, for example. And then if you want to purchase it, you just hover over it with your joystick. You click over right to repulse, and then you click your jump button, which on controller is A. And if you have enough credits, you can buy that. And then after the timer is over, you start the round with that equipment in your slot.
Nice. Sounds pretty intuitive. Thanks.
Yep.
I got a question about that. So with the whole economy system UI, is that going to be like an option in Forge that you can script to other game modes besides Seek and Deploy? Like, could we see that maybe with the Battle Royales, or maybe with the Undead game mode, or even Firefight?
You got anything,
Or
Wes?
is it
I don't want to speak out of turn, but my first intuition would say yes. You should be able to use the scripting tools once they're released.
and you can script whatever you want in the store, weapon-wise, campaign variants, etc., etc.
I believe that is more an artifice question that is already on the chat.
Yeah, Artifice will have a much better understanding of it.
Yeah, but well,
Yeah.
meanwhile we are in there about the buy mechanics, the shop. I mean, actually, like, because this is a ranked experience, I believe the sandbox is going to be the same as the ranked experience. But is there any sandbox that is excluded for this one, or is the entirety of the sandbox? And if you could give us some examples of the sandbox we are expecting to be able to buy on the shop, that will be helpful.
I say examples wrote out as a question as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would say just since it's a rank experience, there's like certain weapons that are not able to be bought. Like let's say what's not a ranked weapon? Was like a Ravager, and like
Ravager.
a Cinder Shot, like those two
Hydra.
guns. Yeah, like Cinder Shot, for example, is in a game mode like this would be very frustrating to deal with if you peek or know they're on the attraction. It's a pretty free kill. You just peek out and you just double shoot the Cinder Shot, like the stuff like that.
In the iteration that we play, I would say it mostly stays to the ranked experience, but there are some things that aren't featured, like in your ranked suite of sandbox right now in Halo Infinite, that we still continue to use. So it's probably, I don't want to give you the exact list. I'm not quite sure.
You're even allowed to.
Yeah, but just as a rule of thumb and a headspace to be in, like the rank, knowing that the hope for this is that there's a ranked product that comes out of it. We want to stay within the rank suite, and what kind of that stays true.
And the follow-up to examples question, based on the maps and travel time and range and verticality, and how they're going to be judged and such.
My suggestion would be based on. I would say our portion of the maps being judged would just be on gameplay and the quality bar there. I think all of those features go into it, but I think there's an open mind on how this mode can survive. But I think that there's definitely a core gameplay loop that you see consistent across every iteration of SnD, from Counter-Strike to Call of Duty to Valorant, that maintains a level of integrity for like win conditions, players' opportunities, routes, things like that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say there's a set like specific like for travel time, like it doesn't always have to be like, let's take example, like 10 seconds to get from site to mid map. Like there's always open mind on that stuff.
Yeah, because in the brief description, you guys have it. It's like 10 seconds from hill to hill. Is that based on just running from hill to hill, or is that also included with line of sight?
I'm not sure of the reference of 10 seconds.
It was on the little like document description you guys had for like the game mode and such.
Yeah, that might have been like the retake story or something. About 10 to 12 to rotate or something. I don't know.
Oh, from
Maybe it was. I
Okay.
think it was from site to site. I think it was what it was.
Yeah, side to side.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Like I said, like it doesn't have to be 10 to 12. Like, if someone finds that 15 seconds is working more for them, then that we're open to it, and we'll figure that out once we test it by gameplay, like playing it.
Just
Yeah, I think that piece of information goes. You want to make sure that if I'm at A and you guys get the deployment down at B, that there's enough time for me to go from the A site to the B site while also expecting the combat loop to be interesting enough to where the team doesn't automatically win because of the travel time across the map. That's what that's referencing.
Yeah. Primeval had two actually good questions about it, and while you guys answer that, I'm going to pull Timmy back up to the stage. While you guys answer Primeval's question in the text chat.
I have two questions. The maps need to be designed for the SnD mode and cannot be altered post submission as stated in the rules. Would we be allowed to add sandbox elements to the map for other game modes when the competition is completely done and the results are out? This is something I do not know the answer to. And that is a good follow-up question for Tosh.
I can help with that one a little bit.
Okay.
It should be so once the competition is done, and assuming, typically the way it works is you own your file the whole way through until they take and make a copy of it. Should the studio want it, they would make a copy of it that would be specific to matchmaking. So just don't alter your file while judging is taking place. And if you want to add more modes to it, by all means, after the contest is done, you can do that. I think that's a fairly safe understanding for that question.
Yes, I mean, meanwhile the contest is going on, you can't edit the map, but after the contest is done, you can add stuff in there and just label your new elements on the map with the minigame exclude, I think. I mean, Artifice can help us on this, but if you can label all those things with a minigame exclude, I guess those assets won't appear on this Seek and Deploy game mode.
And his second follow-up question is, with the soft kill boundary bug, would we be able to use creative methods to set up boundaries like snowbound turrets, etc.?
I think you could. I think it's unnecessary. And you would run into just player confusion. I think that those thin lines that you walk of alive or something that takes your life, that we don't really see those in ranked modes, and I think that would be a risk taken, is setting up soft kill boundaries and things that are able to take down a player's life outside of the other players.
And then I guess there's I guess Timmy, you're up here, so I guess we'll follow up with your question.
I was just going to add some color to the question about the 10 to 15 seconds thing. For context, that was written by Mick Rips, and I'm not going to say I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but this is my understanding of when he explained it to me. Essentially, because the the countdown is 1 minute, you should be able to re-enter and engage the bomb site within like 10 to 15 seconds, such that you have about 40 to 45 seconds of, potential gunplay, maybe re-engage, back down, re-engage, and then address the bomb should you win the engagement within that 45-second window. That's the way he explained it to me. Because the sweet spot there is so that if you have it too quick of a runtime, it just plays out as Slayer. If you have it too slow, then you can't get to the bomb before you have enough time to actually potentially stop the timer.
Yeah, because so the thing there is like for example, Valorant does 45 seconds after you plant, but Valorant's TTK is basically instant. You can kill 4 people in like a second, so you don't need that much time to clear out the site and then hop it. Halo's shield story is way different, so that's why we give an extra 15 seconds compared to like CS or Val. So, like McRip said, you get like 10 to 15 seconds to rotate. Now you have 45 seconds to kill, how many people are left alive, 2 to 3 or 4. And yeah, it takes a bit longer than other games.
See, Examples had another question in chat at 7:53. Just about other games and how they stem into this.
Yeah, so when it comes to level design, like I would say for the actual site, you should not reference like Counter-Strike and Valorant too much in terms of line of sight, because like I was just saying, like Valorant's TTK is instant, so that's why they get away with having longer line of sights on this actual extraction zone compared to like where they would be playing defense. So like in our game, we like to keep it more mid-ish, mid to close range, so that player that has to convert the extraction has the ability to push out the player playing defense.
Speaking of bomb sites, just a quick follow-up. Is there any thought with regards to items or geo being inside of the bomb site? Because looking at like...
Yeah, geo is open to being, so you could use some geo to LOS and stuff, yeah.
Okay. Because there's some consideration. I've heard folks talk about like the way in which the extraction device attaches to things. It can potentially be problematic. I don't have a solid understanding of this, to be frank. That some folks are avoiding putting stuff inside of the site to avoid the extraction device being placed at awkward angles and stuff like that. But I don't actually know how much of that is an issue or not. So yeah, I don't know. If you guys are, does your test map have stuff inside of the site, and has that been an issue?
Not. There is both the sites that we play.
Said that nothing can be in it because you can like extract it inside object. I remember him saying that.
Both the sites that we play, the site themselves where you can plant the extraction are flat squares. But there are around that play space is tons of cover and things to play around.
Okay, got it. Yes, but
yeah,
nothing
like around the border of the square.
Cool. Okay, thanks.
I see we have a fat question from Oakham as he pulls out the whole Google Doc of his.
These look like Tashi questions. He's just typing it out for us, I think. Like the first one at least is, yeah.
Yeah, I already got notes about that. I did a copy paste of that. There was a interesting question from Will Forge. Let me get, because it was okay. Here it is. He was saying, I was considering a dynamic thing where as each player dies, something changes on the map to give a very minor movement benefit to the player team that's down a man. This way, if it ends up being a 1v4 in a round, they might take advantage of these additional routes to clutch up at the end. Is this acceptable if done in moderation? What do you think?
My initial reaction would be that would interrupt the integrity of the state of the match. So in a ranked game, a player or a team benefiting more than just the kill that was acquired. Like if we turn it from a 4-on-4 to a 4-on-3, we've kind of earned this advantage. So to alter that state, it would, as a ranked player, I think it would frustrate me.
Yeah, and also to add to that, it could get pretty tricky and muddy, considering there's buyback in this mode. So like if that speed boost or whatever, for example, occurs because there's a 4v3 scenario, like now the team that has 3 players left gets the speed boost, and then the player decides to buy back. Yeah, I don't know. It could just be some like confusion and messiness going on with that.
We have a couple of other questions. Dean, I think he was just using speed boost as an example, Will.
Right.
Yeah.
But even if it's like a door that's only accessible to be only opened by one team only or something, you know, like a side route, you know, once it's one alive, you know, have like a key card access or something to a door and such. It's just readability purposes in a ranked match.
Yeah, I don't know how that information gets like commonly transitioned to players, but I could see that just being difficult to.
Just readability and transition wise, like
Yeah.
you would have to play the mode so many times just to learn like a little mechanic on a map, you know. And only during those outcomes too, not just during the match. Oh, I have a question as well. I just remembered. The buyback, is that like, for example, like let's say a sniper rifle's 5,000. Is the buyback like about the same? Like actually, like you really had to spend a lot of money, or is it like within the medium range, with like equivalent to like a tier 2 weapon, like a Ravager or a Hydra?
We want to keep buybacks rare, so they
Yeah,
are
okay,
on the
so
more
it's rare
expensive
quality.
side.
Okay, good.
Traditionally, we don't see a ton of buybacks in a match, maybe 1 to 2, and that's
No,
sacrificing the
Yes.
several rounds of some sandbox items that could have allowed you to potentially have had more success.
Yeah.
right. No,
Also,
just
another
quick
reason you
question.
rarely see it because like there's so many good options to purchase items that it's just like you always get stuck in that scenario. Like, should I greed my money and like save it for buyback eventually, and then you lose like a round or two, and you're like, oh, I'm trolling my team. I should be buying like a different weapon or equipment to secure these rounds. So
Right. Another just quick question too. The extraction zones, like for the arm time, it's 60 seconds. Do you guys see that like being the staple of it, or do you maybe decrease it with the like official game mode coming out, or have you guys
I
experienced
kind of
it
touched
60
on this
seconds?
already, but it's 60 seconds due to like his Halo's kill time. Like asking to, if 4 players are still alive after a zone is extracted, it's pretty time consuming to eliminate 4 players and then hop the extraction. So 60 is definitely like a good estimate number to at least start with. 45 is definitely too short. Like we tested 45 internally and it became like it was blowing up like most of the time. So
Okay, yeah, because from a lot of our play tests, we were noticing that maybe 45 would be more of a comfortable time, but just depends on the map too. I see examples has a question in chat, just of the outcome of the future of just the community-wise and partnership, Halo Studios and Forgehub, or just with the Forgers community, I guess.
For examples, I mean, the way to answer those questions is impossible. Sal and I are doing our part to be able to help assist and try try where we can to improve the hopes and the quality of the contest going on. I know we're always looking to be more transparent and more beneficial to the community, but I don't think that there's a light you can answer that that doesn't come with some negative sentiment attached that's being asked. So I don't really entertain that.
I kind of another quick question. Do you guys see yourselves, since you're now here in Forgehub and such, we also have other Discord servers with playtests during the SnD maps. Do you guys see yourselves like just participating in the lobbies and just seeing the progress of the maps and maybe like give an insight of, feedback wise of what makes the map play better or worse, etc.?
Yeah, I don't know the legality of us giving feedback. And that would be a question, but we definitely will be checking out the maps. I know, like, even we saw that there was a map already submitted to the contest, and we already launched it up and took a look at it. So we'll definitely have our eyes on testing and whatnot, and maybe it
But
will
only
make
maps
sense.
that are submitted to the actual contest website.
That was the only one we saw. This is a new process for everybody involved, so we definitely look forward to testing as many maps as possible.
Yeah, because here in Forgehub, we do have Forgehub Fridays, and there is another lobby soon after this. Will be on Wednesdays as well, and I believe there's one on Saturdays, but I don't think it's always consistent. But the Wednesdays and Fridays are always consistent and such. I guess we have a speaker by Timmy.
Other stories / experiences you can share that stood out as enjoyable. I would say just like being able to like 1v2 in this mode, because like especially with like Halo's TTK and shields, it's kind of hard to like 1v2 in the arena. So since this mode you can buy equipment like Shroud and stuff, we see plenty of cool like juke plays and like outplay potential with Shroud. Like I Shroud off the guy's left, and I could like slide out to the right, kill his teammate, go back into Shroud, and like this guy has no idea where I am. Just like stuff like that, or just like anything equipment wise, or just using the map design to finesse and just like 1v2. I think it's something very different that I see from typical arena maps.
Right, before jumping with Timmy, there's a question by Joe Valiant. How big are you looking to see the arm size on average?
What?
Like, I mean, on the prefab, we have the 16 by 16 size of the arm size, but the average size of the zone to extract, how big on average are they? For example, on the demo map you guys have been playing, how big is the zone to activate the extraction?
Oh, the actual. Okay, yeah. It seems like Timmy answered that with the 16 by 16 by Artifice.
I don't know. I mean, that's the prefab, but in the actual game, the
Artifice. Just for context, scrolling up, I'm not going to put words in Artifice Mouse, but he did answer it by saying the 16 by 16 was just to keep the prefab small. That my question to him earlier was if it's circular or if it's larger, is that okay? And he said, yeah, at least from his perspective, it's understood to not be a restriction to be 16. So I think it would just kind of come down to how your map is designed. My personal opinion would be 32 by 32 is really nice size in the maps that I've tested so far. But I'm not speaking for the studio in any capacity there.
Yeah, Wes and Dan, if you want to follow up with that, just of how big and small the zone actually is, or is the prefab consistent?
The prefab's a pretty good size. I think I wouldn't want it to be any smaller. I think the interesting thing about where the prefab lies right now is it does give you an opportunity to kind of change, like planting with intention, and putting the device where you want it to be. So I think a little bit of player choice there always makes the mode far more interesting. So even going a little bit bigger, I think, depending on the actual like entirety of the room that you're in and the space around it, can add some player thought. But I wouldn't want it to be too much bigger, and I probably wouldn't want it to be much smaller than what it is. So I think if I was going to do anything, maybe extend it depending on the arm site. But right now, I think the prefab is a healthy level to play around.
Okay. And then Timmy, did you have a question?
Yeah, we were talking about playtesting earlier. Just Joe put it in chat, but Joe Valiant runs a Discord server that if anyone wants to submit maps to get them playtested by other forgers, there's a link in chat. Any new and existing forgers are welcome. And then my question for CIT was, and there's no expectation or of any commitment here, but since you guys have a closer, actual look at the mode as it's being developed, if there's any kind of learnings or any observations that
compared to like a widespread kind of messages and feedback goes. So I think following up with Tosh and having a better understanding of what all we can do to help prop up the success of everyone. So, I know at the end of the day, the idea is to get great content out of this. So
Yep.
Just
And
follow up
I
on
think
that.
it's
I was gonna
Sorry.
say, with Joe's Discord, he's always he makes a video every week, so at least you guys can like watch the video and talk amongst yourselves, inside the studio and such. So at least you'll have like a VOD of every week and whatnot of the progress of the maps, because not all of them are always public files. Some of them are still private files, so at least that's some sort of knowledge and information you guys could use with just the Discord link. And also too, I think if you just type in the name of that Discord group in the YouTube, it just pops up.
cool. Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think it's an experiment from both the studio's perspective and the forger's perspective. So any possible opportunities for just conversations or knowledge sharing would be awesome. But I think you get my point. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you answered Quasi's question. Do you have any other questions, or anyone wants to come up on stage, ask verbally?
Well, I have another question regarding Sandbox. When you buy a new weapon, does it include full ammo, or is just reduced? Like, for example, the sometimes the sniper comes only with 4 bullets, or the entire more magazines for the weapon. Is it limited, or is just like the default number of bullets for every weapon?
Right now, I think it's default, and we've seen that play healthily throughout our rounds. Like the excess ammo doesn't necessarily matter. You lose your weapon after the round, so it's at no point do I think ammo has ever like come into a situation where we've ran out or it's been frustrating. So
So it's
the
not
current
like based off rank settings, or just based off 343 default settings, like for an example on a weapon locker?
I think so.
Mhm.
Okay.
Maybe that's an
Yeah.
artifice question to verify, but
Probably just be an option down the line.
Yeah. Right. Thank you.
See examples is also right in chat. Might have a question coming up.
right now we've seen just from top 500 Xbox. Right now we're seeing 2.
This hasn't been like addressed, but I noticed. I'm just on the Xbox One X. Most of the people in the lobby were on PC or Series X. They didn't have this issue, but the convert and defend UI objectives were completely skewed for me. Do you guys seen like having that over, a fix for that and such, since it seems to be a rare glitch only for the older generation Xboxes?
Um,
And it's
I'm
not like every
I'm unaware
round,
of
like the
that.
whole entire game. Yeah. Just probably just something new to bring up,
Can we get that in the notes as well to check on that bug, Arthur?
Yeah, I can just DM him that one.
Oh, sorry, I was mute. Sorry, can you repeat that?
There's a bug that Executioner wants to know if there's plans on fixing for Xbox or console.
That bug. Okay. Yeah, I will make notes.
Yeah, just the UI of convert to defend, just on lesser Xboxes is just messed up.
Xbox X, you said, right?
Yeah, and just like the Xbox One X and the original Xbox.
Oh, Xbox One X. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I guess Examples has a question about the community wise and just partnership.
I think it's fair to reach out to us. The level of information, depending on the question that's being asked, we probably will have to verify and run through Ashi, just because with it being a competition and with us also contributing in the judgment of it, I think that there could be room for integrity conversations. So I don't think it could ever hurt to reach out to ask us questions, but I can't guarantee you're going to get the specific answer you're looking for. But I think it's always healthy to at least attempt that level of communication, and we'll be as honest and responsive with what we are able to say and what we're not able to say and why.
Right, and he also said the competitive insights team. I guess he might be including everybody on the team, or is there only specific people that he, like for example, he could message and ask?
I'd probably leverage Sal and I, or L-Town and I. The rest of the competitive insights team would definitely be a part of the conversation as far as whatever's asked. But we're kind of forefronting or spearheading the forefront of the SnD extraction mode.
ADSR has a good question.
I just answered that on
Okay,
chat.
yep.
All right, excellent. Does anybody have more questions regarding? Oh yeah.
You guys been having more Q&As throughout the process of this contest?
I mean, I'm
Every
always
2
open
weeks.
to it.
Yeah, I would say like every 2 weeks or
And if it's
something.
helpful and beneficial, then I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Hopefully today was a positive for the light, but I think that that's definitely something Tashi would also be a part of the conversation. But
right.
From my perspective, I think as long as there's a want, a need, and an audience, then yeah.
I mean, definitely audience is always here. And also too, just I guess we could maybe have a Q&A just of how the game mode's going to work, just for more of the competitive player perspective instead of the forger's perspective as well. Be kind of interesting just for that as well, you know?
Oh, just to answer Joachim, this Q&A is for map design and gameplay design, not specifically for the mode. Like that's why Town and Clutches are here to answer things like game flow, side of lines of sight, all that stuff that will help you guys to improve the ideas you already have for the design.
Hi, Timmy.
Is that all right if I jump in? I don't want to interrupt anybody.
No, you're good.
Since we're talking about map design, I was curious if you guys have thought about the number of entrances to the site. You know, I've been researching, Counter-Strike, Valorant. Yeah, there's different schools of thought in terms of the number of entrances. Typically, in those games, you want to reduce it to, say, 3. But in a Halo experience, because the move speed and everything is just generally faster, I could see it playing out with potentially up to 5 entrances to a site. Is there any, perspective or opinion from what you've played so far in that regard?
Let me think on this.
I could go real quick. What do you think?
Yeah, you can go.
I think 5 might be a little too much, but like I said, we're not going to give you a strict number. So like if you find 5 is playing very well, like we're gonna end up playing it eventually, and then if it works well, then we're gonna say it plays well. But I think if you want to be on a safer bet, I would say keeping it in that range of like 3 to 4. But like I said, I'm not gonna limit you though. Like if you find a way that you think 5 really is amazing and it works, then go for it. But I just would say like 1 to 2 is definitely probably a bit too low.
Cool. Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense. I mean, typical Halo design is 3 entrances to every room. So pushing it to 4, I'm kind of coming to that same conclusion that 5 is probably too much. But just I appreciate your context there.
Yeah, I was going to say the follow-up of that, I think he also kind of referenced that with Example's question earlier about the design of Counter-Strike and Valorant, and with design qualities of Halo and such, with the time to kill and different movement. With L-Town answering that earlier, kind of falls into the same category of such. ADSR has a good question. Are launchers and grav lifts appropriate in the ranked experience?
Yeah, I think they are. I think I go back to performance potential issues that we could see, but I don't think that they're necessarily a showstopper.
Yeah, we've seen them both in rank experience before, so I would say as long as it plays well. But with that also being said, I would just throw a little red flag warning on the grav lift, because when I think of grav lift, I typically think of a high verticality. So just like keeping that in mind if you actually use a grav lift, to make sure you don't go anywhere super high or too high.
Joe Valen has a good question too in chat. When referencing route commitment, is there an average time in seconds you would want from each lane? How long of a commitment would be too long?
Yes, that's a nice question.
Yeah, we kind of touched on this, but it was more so like from site to site, where we said like 10 to 15 seconds you should be able to rotate from site A to site B, so that player still has enough time to eliminate the other players and then hop the extraction. But like I said, it's it's still open. There's still wiggle room. Like it doesn't have to be 10 to 15. But that's just like a safe like starting number.
Maryland has a good question. What is the best amount of lanes?
I mean, most
Uh,
maps are like 3, right? You have a lane, like a lane to A and a middle
essentially.
lane, and then a B lane. But within those lanes, there could be, for example, if you take the A lane, there could be 2 to 3 entrances to the site, and then like there's an entrance from mid to A. So
I think it's just more of the interconnective routes and not having too many of those between the major lanes.
Yeah. Yeah, most of the maps have 3 lanes, but the interconnections can make
I guess a good example would be like MOBA games, for example, Live in the Jungle. Can't have so many lanes. They'll keep it somewhat linear, but also give them multiple options to jump from lane to lane.
Mhm.
Looks like we have another question from Joe coming up.
just the heads up, I could probably do another question or two. Then I gotta go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll stick with that.
Okay, Joe is writing.
Joe, come on the stage. I guess this is just another another part of his question from the original. Oh, cool.
Oh,
Hello,
let's
Joe.
go.
Just clicked on it.
Yeah, so you're basically asking like if you want to rotate from A to like a mid route, like 7 seconds. That seems pretty reasonable to me. Because then if you do the math, if you like go from that point to the other site, there's probably gonna be around another 7-ish seconds. So that equals like the 15 we were talking about earlier.
Joe, accept the invitation to stage. For some reason, your request did not work.
Hello?
Oh, hello.
Awesome.
Hello.
Yeah, just like a lane would be a hallway essentially, like 15 seconds from attacker spawn to A lane, but within that lane, it is still a one exit, one entrance, unless you have other connecting routes along that lane. And I'm wondering what the time between like the 7-second example would be too long of a commitment, if that makes sense.
I mean, it's difficult to try and put in like a time reference.
Right.
But I think everything that's in that sounds healthy. I think if you go A and then all of a sudden you decide you want to go B, like
Yeah, exactly.
if we're talking about a 15-second pull, I think that like there should be sub routes, like you're speaking, connecting you to a mid lane, connecting you to
Correct.
either back to A or back or towards B or whatever it might be.
Right, because you wouldn't want to go 10 seconds into A lane and then change your mind and have to take another 10 seconds back out.
Right. And if you do, I think that that's punishing. And the clock is obviously against you if you're on offense. But yeah, I think sub lanes are definitely something you're going to have to throw in order to help with the traversal and the time crunch and the decision making the players are going to have to go through. So yeah.
Yeah, to add to that,
how close they are to your original point, or how close they are to the entrance of the site that you were headed towards or whatnot. I think that's like that can vary.
Yeah,
and
that
I think
comes
that's
down
part
to
of
the
your
map
player
design.
choices. Are you
Mhm.
backing up?
Cool.
Yeah, I was just gonna add to that. You like this is different than like you only have a minute when the extraction is planted. So you have more time when it's not planted. Like if you're attacking, I think it's a minute 30 or whatever. So even if you do decide like you need to go back through your spawn, like you can. You have plenty of time to do that. If you do that like right away, like if you go A and you realize you're all four there and you want to backtrack, you definitely have time to do that. But yeah, there's also like you could if you want to be faster. Like if you want to beat them to the other site, and you could probably cut through that mid lane, that 7 second, and then go from there to the site. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A good question by examples. Do you guys just see yourselves participating in the playtest lobbies, not for feedback or anything, just playing, just to be there to play as a body? Because we do have hard issues at times to, convince players like, hey, do you want to play like a Forge map, or, do you want to try a new mode, etc., etc.
Yeah, I
Not
think
everyone feels
traditionally
the
we're 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 typically working from like 9 to 5 PST and playtesting a ton during those times. So we'd be happy to throw maps into our like already standing playtests. Whether or not we're joining like the community ones, like that would just be like time and day. Like,
right.
are
Yeah.
we free? Like, what's the schedule like and whatnot? So
Like I said, Joe Valiant hosts a lobby on Wednesdays, and that's usually around 7 Eastern. And Forgehub Fridays is also 7 Eastern, but that goes for like 4 hours.
heard.
And just like for an example too, like Foge, he's part of Halo Studios, but he joins a lot of the lobbies and play tests with us, just to be there, just help out the community as a body.
Yep.
All right. I don't see any more questions, so I think I'm gonna roll
Yeah,
out.
I think we've covered all grounds plus extra.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys bearing through that. I know. Hopefully we got some good information out to y'all, and hopefully the questions that we weren't able to answer, we can get answered. And I know that there is a want to continue to push for more of these in the future, and that will definitely be part of the communication that I bring back to Tosh, as far as just what we can do in order to continue to give you guys some positive reinforcement,
Right.
and help you guys have success.
Be nice to have this, like, I don't know, every week or every 2 weeks. Have Tashi in here to actually fully answer the questions, Plus, he'll have the follow-up little, document as well, just to answer people's questions from last time as well. It'd be nice.
Heard.
But yeah, I think we're all done here. For everyone here, though, Joe Valiant, playtest lobby right after this. If you guys want to head over to his YouTube and his Discord, which was linked in the text chat, we do need people.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys.
All right, guys. Time to wrap this up. Thank you.
All right, boys, Joe Valiant lobby.
I may have to end the stream. Maybe not. OBS is acting weird. Oh gosh, we don't want an echo. Okay, doesn't look like it.
Full plug. Full plug.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. I better see all 21 people from that to join up.
Right.
I remember the names. I know who they are. Better see them. And what do we even have for docket tonight? Or are we just kind of...
Nothing right now. I was hoping people
Player's
would,
choice? Okay.
people would submit their SnD maps.
Right. Yeah. I know. Salty. ADSR. Is he even in this Discord? ADSR?
Who?
ADSR, Adser?
I don't know.
No,
I
he's
just got-
not. No,
So y'all are playing some Seek
Mr.
and
Souls.
nuts.
You
Right?
did not join us for the Q&A.
No, I thought that was happening first, and then the SnD
It
stuff
was.
would happen.
It did happen first. We just ended it.
That's right. I wasn't there for the Q&A.
I know. Big sad. Big sad.
Well, I'm here for the playtest. I think that's what matters.
Does, but
Do we have more people coming?
better be everyone in the fucking chat.
I know Halo Fun Time's the most active place right now. Would it be better to just go into their thing and just get stuff started? Mr. Joe?
I mean, it seems like everyone in there is kind of just forging, probably,
Yeah.
and chatting.
Yes, probably everyone just using their time just to
To
grind
get it
out
ready for the
SnD.
next Saturday night.
Well, also, probably Alcom's now telling them like everything they can and can't do with the map, so they're like, "All right, I'm changing it now. No verticality. Delete 5 blocks.
There's only 4 people
Tower gone."
in HFT voice chat right now. Everyone just kind of dipped.
Interesting.
If anything, we could always run through twos. Go through one top 20. You know.
Funny how that works.
Oh, it's still there. Well, no, it's not.
See that somebody posted a map a
Dude.
half an hour ago for 4v4s. Oh, actually, I played that one before. That one's alright. Could use some tender love.
I'll be back.
Apparently, Tashi was not supposed to be there.
I mean, he wasn't.
Was he not?
He wasn't there.
I know he wasn't there, but he wasn't supposed to be there at all. Apparently, mistranslation by Arthur because of his message being very confusing.
Did it say he was going to be there?
I guess, like I said, the message was apparently really confusing. Like it says he was supposed to, but he's not. Like I don't know. It's not the first time I've heard Tashi's messages being very vague and confusing.
I am back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Never do that again.
No maidens?
We're maidenless. You were gone for so long, I got scared.
Oh. Don't worry about it.
Not anymore. I was definitely huffing and puffing through the paper bag, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hello.
Mr. Rips.
Mr. Mick. Wait, is it Mr. Rips or Mr. Mick?
It's Mr. Rips.
It's dealer's choice, but Mr. Rips makes more sense.
Mr. Rips.
How'd
How you
the
been?
Q&A thing go? I've been chilling, just been
It went
fucking
well.
busy as fuck.
Lots of info. Just a big old
It was
info dump.
only Clutch and Helltown, so a lot of questions couldn't be answered because they didn't have the answers to them. But
Was it like a live Q&A, like were people asking them like with voice, or was it with chat?
it's just like a Twitter space, so it's the same functionality. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you can just request them on to be up on stage, ask a question, also write in text
Okay.
chat, or doing both. I don't know why they just don't
Hey.
use a Twitter space. It'd be easier. Plus, you would have a full Halo audience, at the HCS and at the Halo Twitter accounts, So everyone will be notified. You're on Twitter and a giant purple screen above it says QNA, SnD.
I'm about to watch the live stream of it, see how it went.
Well,
We're still streaming.
Oh wait, like
We're
the Q&A
waiting.
is still going?
Well, I mean, did they stream it at all?
I don't think so.
They didn't stream the Q&A.
Yeah, so
No.
you gotta. The stream that I am currently streaming is where you have to watch it.
Interesting.
He didn't
Okay.
pause the stream and then restart the stream for the lobby.
Not yet.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, wouldn't that be easier on you, like later down the line when you gotta edit the video?
I don't usually edit them. I just kind of like, because if you edit the video, it posts it as a video. It doesn't stay in the live. Which is kind of stupid.
No.
That's fair.
Okay.
I'll end it.